Okay, so my name is Hast. I come from Uppsala University, and I work there as a teacher and researcher, and I also work at Uppmax, which is the supercomputer center at Uppsala. So I work with scientific visualization as an application expert, as they call it. So otherwise I do research in computer graphics, computer vision, so those are really my areas. So I wanted to talk a little bit about my experience, sort of to motivate why I'm in the HPC business. So in 98, 99 I took some courses in something which was then called the National Graduate School in Scientific Computing. And for me that was really, really interesting because it was something completely new for me. And I took some courses in different places in Sweden, and one of them was at the KTH, the Royal Institute of Technology, I think it's translated. And I remember then that we were using these Cray machines and IBM SP, and it was like one huge machine. And then in some room they were taking ordinary PCs, putting together into a cluster, and I thought that was so strange at the time, but sort of revolutionary. And now today that's what people do, just that those machines aren't so simple anymore, as you heard from the previous talk. So many things have changed. Then I started to work in Uppmax some almost 10 years later. And there was a colleague who made a joke that soon somebody will take all of these PlayStations and put together to a compute cluster. And everybody laughed and thought that was stupid. And then I Googled for it and I saw it had already been done just a couple of months before that. And it was done a lot, I know, in the United States, and that's why Sony changed the firmware so nobody can use them anymore for that purpose, because they were quite cheap to buy. And that inspired me to create something which I called the Unconventional High Performance Computing Workshop, to just pick up those people who do things that are not so common. We had a workshop running every year since 2008. And then I spent some weeks in Cineca, in Bologna, and parallelizing code, which I thought was a lot of fun. And then I became director of studies for something which was completely new in Sweden, which is called the Swedish eScience education. And since last year, I'm the director for that. So I will tell you a little bit about this research school and why is it needed. And that's a little bit why I told you this history as well, because things are changing very fast. But first I want to tell you a little bit about something called SNIC, the Swedish National Infrastructure for Computing. Here in Switzerland you have the CSCS, in Sweden we have SNIC, but since Sweden is let's see now, there, Sweden, it's a very long country, that's the orange part here. So they decided at some point of time to have it in different places. One of the first one was NSC, which was actually called the National Supercomputer Center, which you have here in Linköping. Ooh, I'm so shaky. And there is Uppsala, Stockholm, Göteborg, Lund, and up there is Umeå. So you have all of these different universities that run their own computing facilities, which are some of them really large. At KTH in Stockholm, they had a new computer now called Besko, which is on the 32 place in this top 500. In Uppsala, we have much smaller clusters, though. So that's how it works in Sweden. And the idea behind SNIC is to provide the resources that all researchers need. In whatever kind of area you're coming from. I heard that also here in Switzerland you have a lot of users in life sciences. I remember very clearly when I took these first courses that I was the only one coming from computer science sometimes. There were people from chemistry and physics, and there was this lonely guy from biology. What is he doing here was in my mind. What do they need computers for? Counting squirrels or what? And now it has just exploded. Life science and biology is in Uppsala one of our biggest and most important users, and they have a lot of different codes that they are running. So things have really changed in this area. It's really amazing. So SNCC allows practically anyone to apply for running code on their clusters. So that's what they do. But they also provide training. And different kinds of training. These are just some few examples of the training that SNCC is involved in. Since I do scientific visualization, we had a workshop in Uppsala in November, which I was responsible for. So that's what we do. But now I'm going to talk about education, Swedish eScience education. So that made me think, what is really the difference between training and education? And somebody said that the training we do in SNCC is about decreasing the number of support requests. I'm not sure if they are very successful, because in Uppmax we have at least 100 a day, I think, that comes in, people asking all kinds of questions. Some people try to log in on the website instead of on the compute cluster. New users don't really know how to use the resources. So therefore, of course, training is really important. How to make the users understand how to use the resources in an efficient way. And that's what I found that Praise are doing a lot as well. But you can see I didn't really make the border very, how to say, straight. It's sort of dim there. Because, of course, some of these parts are both in the training and in the education part, like using the software and the hardware. That's something we do also in education. And we have also this very specific courses like scientific visualization. There are training courses that do that. Something that has to do with fluid dynamics and things like that can be in both parts. But what's more in the education part is sort of the theory behind the computation and high performance computing. So we try to be more in this area than that area, even though we have done both. And what happened in Sweden was that we had two research schools in these areas, and in 2013 they both joined to form the Swedish eScience education. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit briefly. The National Graduate School in Scientific Computing was a little bit special, and we have bought sort of the main ideas from this school. That all the SNCC centers participated in this graduate school, because at each center there were the experts working, those who really know how to use the systems. Those are experts in linear algebra, on parallel machines, and so on and so on. And the idea was to have courses which have sort of a common format, so students can come from everywhere and benefit from them. It was a lot about numerical analysis in those days and programming. About 100 PhD students have been in this school during the years. So it was really about getting these different students together, as I said, from biology, chemistry, physics, and computer science, to work together in projects. And these were 2-week courses. I spent 2 weeks 2 times up in Umeå. I had small children in those days, and it was kind of hard to be away such a long time. So that's something we changed with the CC, as I soon will show you. But first, let's look at this KCSE. This was really an initiative from KTH in Stockholm. It was very much focused on their courses and what they were doing. And the idea was to sort of reach out to industry, to reach those people. And they also had this summer and winter schools, and the summer school was actually part of the other graduate school as well. That was the first course I took. So they sort of did their own little thing here. But then happened something in Sweden that what's it called now? The main state fund provider in Sweden gave money to 2 big research initiatives in Sweden which are focused on eScience. So normally they would compete about money and funding and interest from the public and from students and so on. But in this occasion they actually went together and formed this research school. So this is kind of unique, and it's really nice that it works so very well. So the eScience, that's where I sort of belong more normally, since Uppsala University is involved, Lund University and Umeå University, and these 3 supercomputer centers are involved in eScience. And CERC are mostly, I think, for the Stockholm area. These 3 universities are in Stockholm and this one in Linköping. So there are 2 big supercomputer centers that are joined in CERC. But together, all of these universities formed the CC. So we are a couple of people that are involved in this. It's mostly me and my colleague that runs the thing, and Pavlin runs the website and so on. And then we have the former directors of the 2 different graduate schools that has helped a lot in the beginning, and these are the directors for the eScience initiatives, and these are really the people who thought that why don't we do something together? And I think that's really important to stress that fact. So, what is CC doing? What's the mission? We have taken many of these things from the previous research school, of course, to be a meeting place. So students from different areas can come together and to benefit from the experiences they have had in different areas of application. And to give basic training, or rather education, where eScience is now emerging. And also try to see what's new, what's happening, what's going on. Because as I said, it changes all the time. We cannot just sit still and think that this is the way it's going to be. But this picture is the most important because, and this is from the PDC summer school, it's about getting together PhD students, researchers, teachers, and so on to learn from each other and help each other. And I think we have been successful with that. So now I've been talking a long time without really saying what is eScience. I come from the HPC area, and when I heard the word eScience, I thought, okay, what is that then? And it seems like everybody has their own kind of definition, so I tried to make my own here and see what is it about. Of course, it's high performance computing and research and different kinds of applications, but also something which we have in Sweden and probably also in many other countries, the application experts. I work myself in visualization. We have experts in code improvement and in chemistry and physics and all the kinds of application areas they have. So those are an important part of making this work. And of course also the system experts, the people who knows what's going on in the system, how to install the different parts and so on. And I think, of course, since I work with visualization, that is really important. And the new thing with big data or data-driven research, we've heard about this many times before. When I came to UppMax, the focus was on number of cores and computing time and so on. And then there was some disk storage as well. But the disk storage was something we never really discussed or were interested in. And then with this data revolution that has been happening, especially in Uppsala, we see it with this human genome project, with all of these petabytes of data that needs to be stored. I think also we actually get data from CERN to Uppsala for research there. So the storage part is now, I I think even more important than the computing part. We have storage clusters today. And we heard about it before here that, these things also break. You don't think that a hard drive would break, but if you have thousands of them, the statistical probability that one breaks per day becomes really high in the end. So there's a lot of work to take care of this. So all of this together is the eScience. That is the science we do where we need some kind of computer-based resources. That's where the E comes from. So it's not really completely new if you compare to HPC, but I think we need to incorporate all of these things when I think about it. It's also about people, not only resources. So, this graduate school, how does it work? Well, the new thing was to shorten it and not being away 2 weeks away from the family and so on. So, the students, they study 1 week at their home university. So when I had my course, I defined very well what they should do every day to install the software and so on, and try these libraries and do these little tests and so on. So when they come to the university where the course is held, they are very, very well prepared and they can get going immediately. So they come usually Monday for lunch, and then they stay all week until Friday lunch, and where they leave. So during this time, it's a lot of work. And then, after this week, there's 1 week at home where they should finish the project. And we try as much as possible that the project they do, they use their own data from their own research as PhD students. That is often possible, but not always. And that has led to many interesting things. For instance, in visualization, there was one who was working with GIS and floodings, and she was actually able to make a paper to publish in a conference that was based on the program she made during this project. She did really an amazing thing. And also, there was a guy now from building construction, he's making a PhD in that area, who realized that he could visualize the stresses in the buildings in completely new ways he didn't know about. So he's making a paper about that. So things can really happen during these courses. And we generally require at least 10 students per course, and we also give some money. So if you divide by 10, you approximately get the euros that we fund these courses, and this money comes from eScience and CERC. So we can give money for development and for giving the courses, and also travel grants for the students. And this is really important. This is also something we had before in the other research school, that not everybody can go away. Sweden is so far, it's a long country, so it's a long distance to travel, so you might need some money to do this travel and to stay in a hotel and so on. So we try to help students as much as possible with that. And of course there are benefits for the students in many ways. This is something I forget to tell sometimes. They are generally free. The PDC summer school might cost a bit because it is actually longer and requires much more resources, but generally it's free for all the PhD students. You have this networking possibility, which is important. You get the top resources in each university, general topics, special topics, and so on, and the travel grants. So, how am I doing with time now? I'm talking and talking, but... Okay, so I will not talk that long. So this is what we're trying to reach out to tell the students, and as I will show you, we get quite a lot of students. This was the first year we had this in this new format. We had one course in Lund, which was sort of introduction to the area, which has quite a number of students. This turned out to be a very popular topic, using Python for high-performance computing. That's something I would like to go in, learn more about myself. I just know a little bit of that. And of course this summer school, which really attracts a lot of people. My course had 9 in the end. I was happy for that. we have a problem that students tend to register, and then you have to remind them, don't forget that you registered for this course 2 months ago. One student sent me an email and said, I don't even remember registering for this course. Did I do that? So it's very important to remind them. And yeah, these are just some more, just to give you sort of an idea what the different kinds of courses we have. And this was the autumn last year. So the PDC summer school still has quite a lot of people. Climate modeling is one of these, I think, important courses that are perhaps a little bit, especially have to really be interested in that. We also had a winter school. This is sort of things we inherited from KCSC at KTH. And these are the courses we're planning for this year. And this is sort of the continuation of this climate modeling. So we have 2 courses in that, and we will also have 2 courses in big data or data-driven research. So this is something I worked hard to get into the curriculum because I think it's really important. And Chalmers is actually not part of Essence or Circ. So this was a little bit problematic to get them to work with us, but we think it's really important to get into these areas, since so many students will have to face the problems of big data and the possibilities, of course. So when we started up, we tried different kinds of events. We had some small workshop about Python for MATLAB users. I really would love to have been on that, but I couldn't. I gave myself the scientific visualization workshop. We had this winter school. And we did something which we used to do many years in SNCC. But now we supported it with money as well to sort of revive this SNCC user forum, where users from all kinds of disciplines get together and talk about their experiences. How are things working? What help do we get from the application experts? And what resources do we need for the future? And so on. And in some part, it reminds me a little bit of what we have been doing here for 3 days, but we only had 2 half days. So it was short, but I think very useful for most of us. So what about the future? Well, instead of doing all kinds of different workshops and so on, we will focus more on education in the future to reach out to the PhD students and so that they will know that CSC exists and that they can go there and study. So long it has been open only for Swedish students, but on Nordic level they could also join. I don't think there has been so many from the Nordic countries. These are considered being the Nordic countries from Iceland, Denmark, Norway, and Finland. This is Sweden. But I know that there will be a Nordic school. That's the idea. And we think that we have courses already that we could bring into this Nordic school. We'll see what happens with that. I have tried to find something more on European level in high performance computing or eScience, but I haven't really found anything. So if you know about that, I would really be happy to learn more about that. I know there's a lot of really good and interesting training going on in Praise. I've taken some of those courses myself just to see what's going on and happening, and I really enjoyed that. But no graduate school for PhD students as far as I know. So please tell me if you know more about that. And these 2 eScience collaborations that are the sort of foundation or the main organization behind the school, we don't know if they will exist after next year because the funding will end, and this is something that which the Swedish authorities are thinking about, and we will see what will happen. Perhaps the school will die next year. I hope not. I hope they will somehow provide us with money in the future, and we see that we have done a lot of good, and we hope to continue doing that. And if you have PhD students that you would like to send to our school, we can discuss that. And I don't think we will charge you anything for that, because I think exchange is really important. I believe in that. So, if you have possibility, please look at our website. There you can see what kind of courses we have and how to contact people, and you can even subscribe to get the latest news about what we are doing. So it's very simple to remember, cc.nu. So that was all. Thank you very much for listening.